Tom Hanks's daughter recalls childhood of deprivation and violence. E.A. Hanks, the daughter of the well-known actor Tom Hanks and his first wife, Samantha Lewis, is going to publish a biography that is quite personal and sheds light on the difficulties that she had in her younger years. The book, The 10, A Memoir of Family and the Open Road, which is scheduled to be released in April 2025, is expected to reveal the unfiltered and frequently excruciating realities of growing up in a turbulent environment that is characterized by emotional turbulence, neglect, and the complexity of familial connections. She recounts circumstances that many people may find impossible to imagine, especially given her father's popularity and public image as a revered Hollywood character. E.A. opens up about her childhood in her forthright autobiography, detailing experiences that could be difficult to imagine for many people. A childhood that was characterized by being unstable. During the time that their parents were married, E.A. Hanks and her brother, the actor Colin Hanks, were born. Their parents divorced in 1985 after being married for about a decade. Following the dissolution of their marriage, Samantha Lewis, the mother of the children, was mostly responsible for their upbringing in Sacramento. E.A. portrays a picture of a childhood that was filled with instability and deprivation, an atmosphere that was far different from the sparkle and glamour that is typically associated with the life of her renowned father. In her autobiography, E.A. portrays a household atmosphere that is not at all nurturing. The emotional upheaval that characterized their lives was reflected in the overcrowding and disorganization that frequently occurred within the home. The living arrangements were less than ideal, with a congested and unclean setting that made the difficulties that the children were experiencing even more difficult to manage. Throughout her life, E.A. has experienced moments of food insecurity, during which she and Colin were sometimes uncertain about where they would get their next meal. Because of this, in addition to the fact that they were neglected, they had a childhood that was significantly more challenging than the majority of people would believe it would be for children of a famous actor. According to E.A., a significant portion of the emotional and physical anguish may be traced back to the declining mental state of her mother. She thinks that Samantha Lewis may have been suffering from undiagnosed bipolar disorder, a condition that could have been a contributing factor to the chaotic and violent climate that existed within the family. E.A. portrays a picture of a mother who, even though she was loving, was unable to provide the stability or care that a small child requires. As a result, the environment that she created for her family was tense and unpredictable. The author of the memoir, E.A., reflects on her childhood, saying, "It wasn't just a difficult childhood, it was one of constant emotional deprivation. There were indeed times when love was there, but those times were frequently overwhelmed by instances of neglect, violence, and an overpowering sense of instability." E.A. was subjected to moments of physical aggression which added to the emotional neglect she had previously experienced. There were occasions when things would develop into physical altercations, which created an environment that was both unsafe and emotionally uncomfortable for both E.A. and her brother. When she recalls these events in her memoir, she describes how they occurred. "Moving to Los Angeles has been a defining moment in my life. The point of no return was reached by E.A. when she was 14 years old. Following an event that was exceptionally dramatic and upsetting, she made the difficult decision to leave the house that she shared with her mother. To be with her father, Tom Hanks, and his second wife, actress Rita Wilson, she relocated to Los Angeles and began living with them. This represented a key turning point in E.A.'s life, as she was removed from the milieu that had created her upbringing and placed into a situation that was more stable and nurturing. Both of these events occurred simultaneously. Even though E.A.'s circumstances underwent a significant transformation as a result of her father's existence in Hollywood, she confesses that the move was not without its difficulties. As she handled the complications of living with her father in a new household, she described the period of adjustment as being both challenging and emotional. She lived with her father in a new household. Nevertheless, E.A. has a warm and affectionate relationship with Rita Wilson, who is Tom Hanks' second wife and whom she refers to as her other mother. When E.A. thinks back on it, she says, "Rita became a source of stability, compassion, and warmth. She was more than just my stepmother. She was a real mother figure to me. She taught me what it meant to receive love and support without conditions after I had been emotionally deprived for many years." EA attributes her emotional recovery to Rita, who provided her with the kind of direction and care that her biological mother had been unable to do. Rita was able to help EA get through a difficult period of emotional healing. She received the emotional sustenance that she had been lacking during her early years as a result of this bond, which proved to be essential in her life. The Road Trip. A Journey of Reflection is the title of this work. The events that occurred during EA's youth continued to linger in her memory, and she sought closure in her unique way, even though she had recently found stability in her father's home. In 2019, EA set out on a voyage along Interstate 10 that would last for 6 months, retracing a route that she had previously taken with her mother. Through the course of this voyage, EA was able to contemplate her history and make an effort to make sense of the turbulent childhood she had experienced. Additionally, she was able to gain a better understanding of her mother's problems and to investigate her past through the trip, which served as both a literal and a symbolic voyage. It was more than just a road trip. It was a way for me to re-examine the past and try to understand my mother's pain, EA adds. It was a way for me to try to understand myself. I desired to have a more profound understanding of her, to attempt to make sense of the person she had been and the way that it had influenced me. While driving across the country, EA mused on the difficulties of her connection with her mother. She was driving across the country. Even though the road trip did not supply all of the answers, it did provide EA with the opportunity to make peace with her past and ultimately get a greater knowledge of the dynamics inside her family that had shaped her early existence. The Memoir, A Story of Family and Healing is the title of this book. The memoir written by E.A. Hanks, titled The 10, A Memoir of Family and the Open Road, is scheduled to be published on April 8, 2025. It is anticipated that the book will provide an honest and unflinching appearance of her youth. Even though it exposes certain unsettling realities about her childhood, the memoir also emphasizes the love, healing, and emotional development that are the results of the harsh situations she went through. The reader is allowed to gain an understanding of the complexity of a childhood that was lived in the shadows of fame and familial turmoil, as well as to discover how one woman negotiated her past to achieve healing and clarity throughout her life. EA focuses on the lessons she's learned from her terrible upbringing throughout the entirety of the biography. She demonstrates how adversity can mold a person and finally lead them to a place of strength. It is a credit to her resilience and capacity for development that she was able to make it through a childhood that was marked by hardship and into an adulthood that is stable and emotionally healthy. The publishing of The 10 is not only a declaration of victory against hardship, but it is also a release of personal history through the publication of the book. The memoir written by EA extends an invitation to readers to comprehend the complete intricacy of her life and possibly to recognize some of the challenges reflected in her narrative. EA reveals, via the medium of her story, that even in the face of adversity, there is always the prospect of healing, progress, and eventually, a better future. Don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss more powerful stories like this one, and leave a comment below